And welcome to How Do You Drew?
This is a Drew Barrymore podcast brought to you by thedrewsium.com.
And sponsored by our friends at Positive Medium.
I'm Anne.
And I'm Ashley.
And we are joined today by our friend Brian, Drewbie from way back. So how do we even summarize this?
I feel like, just in case anybody doesn't know this story, we don't talk about it that often, but I'll just say quickly, Anne and I met online on a Drew fan site message board as teenagers. That's how we met. That's how we know each other, way back in the late 90s. And Brian is another person, another friend, Drewbie from that time who used to post there. And I think you were, if not you were one of the youngest people there. Is that right?
I'm not sure, but I'll take that.
I feel like I remember you being 15.
It's so bizarre. I mean, it's so crazy to think like this long later we are still like in contact. I love that, honestly.
I know. Yeah. It's amazing.
You guys, I have a picture of all, we met Drew at the
book
Grove.
Signing. Yeah.
That's on my bed. Like you guys are above my head every night.
Oh, that's so sweet. I love that. That was such an amazing time. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Brian was there with us when we met Drew at the Wildflower book signing. That was incredible.
And sat right in the front.
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. We'll share photos through the years. We also hung out together in the 2000s, early 2000s, long ago. But yeah, we've just all been friends from this one message board that actually a few of our guests have also come from that space. It's pretty amazing.
Oh, that's right. Because we've had Tess and Jolena.
And Anita. Yeah.
I just like, I look at people like fans nowadays of certain celebrities. It seemed like there's such a community with people. Like, I feel like for me, at least, like what I've always, outside of movies, like why I've always loved Drew is for her public, like who she is like she has inspired me to be a better person. I feel like that's kind of across the board with most of her fans. And I think that's awesome, you know what I mean? She's brought people together for good reasons, you know what I mean? Like we're not hating on anybody. It's all
totally.
Yeah.
Well, that's a great segue into telling us kind of your origin story of how do you Drew? How did you become a fan? What's your, you just answered one question about why you love her, but share anything that you want.
So it was Scream was my, I mean, I'm pretty sure I saw E.T., but like Scream was my first, like when I first noticed Drew.
Yeah.
I honestly don't even really like know exactly what kind of like intrigued me about her, but like it was like, so I remember the movie and I was really into the movie. And then YM 1995, where it's the pink cover, the pink and orange with the ringlets. So that was the first kind of like introduction to like her, like as her public life, and I remember like I got that, I read that magazine. It was my cousin's magazine. My cousin Serena, she had all the YMs and stuff like that.
There's always somebody, a friend or a cousin that has old YMs.
I got all mine from my friend Angie.
I think I didn't even know she was on the cover. I was just flipping through the magazine because the cover was ripped off, and like I ended up reaching like the article, and I just read it, and I that set me on this trajectory of like I just found her fascinating, and as an 11-year-old,
I was gonna say that article because it's just like it's like a timeline of her life and all these interesting things that happened every year. It's a great intro to like this fascinating life this person has led. I remember being really intrigued by it too.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was going to ask you, Brian, you read it like at the time when it was new?
Yeah. Well, no, I was probably about a year later. So it was like, this was like 1996, but that was from 1990.
And how old did you say you were?
I was 11. Yeah.
That's amazing.
And that's what's so bizarre for me to think like this like little weird 11-year-old boy like reading this kind of teen girly magazine, like but like super fascinated with this girl.
But look where it led you.
Yeah.
And I try to explain it to people that obviously aren't fans, but like she's inspired me to like be a better person. Like, is that?
I totally feel that way.
We say that all the time and it feels strange, but it's true.
But I think that's amazing, especially like in today's day and age, and like how kind of polarized and like negative culture can be. Like, it's nice to have that. It's like a north star of goodness, and that's
Aww.
Yeah. That's so sweet. I honestly like one of the things specifically I feel like I've been better about because of like her as an example is being less judgmental. And yeah, we definitely need more of that in the world right now.
I mean, and I feel, and growing up as I wasn't out at that time, but like I've always known I was gay, and I grew up. Luckily, I was never like bullied or anything like that, but I always had this sense of like I knew I was different, and so like I always tried to like be kind and appreciate people for what they have to offer, and try to like live in that space. Is like you never know what it is so cliche, but also it's so true. It's like you never know what somebody's going through. Just be kind as much as you can, and hopefully that, you know what I mean. And that's like that. I think being, a young gay boy growing up, like having her, like she was my idol, and some people found it weird, especially back then. You know what I mean? Nowadays, I love it because like living in LA and people have experienced her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loves her, and I'm like, it kind of
It's like validating.
valid.
You're just like, see, you get it. Like,
Yeah.
that was it. I love that whole kind of imagining you kind of like identifying with this person. And I was trying to kind of think of like, yeah, what is it about Drew? But it's like perseverance, kindness despite hardship, like, she'll acknowledge that things in the world are not great, but like still be kind to people around you
and optimistic. Like she can keep that
Yeah.
optimism going through all these adversities. Yeah. We all feel that way.
What's funny is like even back then though, like it wasn't so like apparent the way
Yeah.
like it is now. So like I don't even know if like I realized how special like she was, but for some reason I continued to just be interested, and I followed from that time on. I followed her career. My first magazine was Jane magazine, I remember.
Oh,
what a good one.
I love that you were even like ahead of Anne and I, because we became fans in 98, like Wedding Singer Ever After. So it's so cool that you were ahead of us.
Well, that was like Wedding Singer was like my first kind of like Scream like was the introduction, but Wedding Singer was the first movie I saw was like as a fan, it was like because like, all of 1997 when I kind of like, when I first really was like got into her, nothing came out after Scream. There's everyone's, but I didn't know about that.
Yeah.
That was like limited release.
That would be a strange movie for you to see at like 12, probably.
Like 1998, just like you ladies, like that was the same time. I think we all kind of like that was when the fandom really like
we call that one of her Renaissance times where it was just like hit after hit after hit, and everybody, that's when we all came together. Like that's when we all got to know each other and came for the same reasons. Like I feel like when we talk about these things and when you say like what attracts you to her, what interested you in her, it's like, yeah, we all feel that way. Like that's why we were all so connected, because we're all like good, cool people.
I wonder if she knows that like how like she connects her fans, you know what I mean? Like that because I watched like other people and the kind of like their fan base and stuff like it just seems so different than what I've experienced with like the Drewbies, you know what I mean?
I was just gonna say, I feel like our experience as Drewbies is like really unique. And I don't know, I think it's because of like the message board environment that we like came up in. Like, I don't know if there are places that people build communities the same way anymore.
Yeah, I can't imagine on Instagram you have quite that same.
I don't know of any, but I'm sure maybe there were, but
it was special.
It was special. It was super fucking special to me, to us, all of us. Look at us. We're here 20 some years later.
I mean, we need to like send a group letter to Missy and be like, hey, look what you did and acknowledge us.
She at that time was like she was like the all-knowing messiah of Drew fandom and stuff like that. And but also I really appreciate she was super like she's like 10 years older than me, but she was
Yeah.
always very warm and welcoming and engaging with me, which I always appreciated. And I think that's why I probably stayed a fan of hers because I also loved the fans too. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. We kind of made our own little family.
I
we
know it's
did.
really special. Like if you weren't there, it's so hard to explain. But just the fact that the three of us are here chatting right now is sort of proof of how incredible that is.
Yeah, and I don't think people get it. So yeah, let's think about like we're talking about over 20 years ago, people.
I know. I just want to say real quick, Brian came out to Vegas. I think you were at the Mirage. Is that right? RIP. They're closing that right now. And I recall meeting you in the lobby, and I believe I brought a suitcase full of my scrapbooks, and we just sat in the lobby and looked through each other's scrapbooks.
And that's where the picture is. Like, I'm sure people walk by, it's like, what the fuck are these kids doing here? Like,
They probably had no idea, no clue.
I know I was super into it. I thought it was amazing.
And you traveled with your books, right? Like,
yeah. I still, I don't have them with me here. Like, my mom has them at her house, but yeah, that was that was a very special time.
Yeah.
But the pictures, like, I look like a lesbian. I look like a lesbian.
I just remember you wearing hemp necklaces a lot.
Hemp necklaces, the kind of bleach tips, the over eyebrows, like.
Yeah.
If I wasn't like, okay, I wasn't out of the closet, but like, you just needed to look at me and like, okay, that boy's gay.
Oh, it's just so amazing with such a great history. I feel so grateful for the grapevine. Grateful for the grapevine. That was the message for it.
Grateful for grapevine. Yeah.
Drew loves the gay. So that was part of me. Was like, oh shit, like I always love that about her. And what also I found very kind of, I don't know, serendipitous or when I moved here, I met without them knowing that I was like a super Drew fan. I met Chris and Kelly and Tony, and through my boyfriend, you know what I mean?
So crazy.
And yeah, and so like for me, I was like I felt like I had to like dance this like
tone it down. Yeah.
I didn't want to be like overzealous. I didn't want to be the super fan, even though I was, but I just was like, wow, like out of all the celebrities in all the world, like if I have a connection that I could actually kind of like reach this person, it's the person that I've always loved, you know what I mean? And
I love that so much that it just
incredible.
happened to be that you were in the right place, the right time to like get in the circle and just be, but also like the fact that when we went to the book signing, Tony helped us like sit in the front.
I think it was Chris actually that time.
Was it? That's so cool.
For me, it was Chris. So like that's what like was that the first time I met Drew? Well, no, because I went to her book signing in New York.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Right before I moved out to LA, and I saw all of them there, and I knew who Chris, like
Of
I
course.
knew, but I didn't say anything.
I was the one who was like, 15 and walking up to Chris like,
I know you.
I wish I was like that. I'm too like I need a little.
You're very polite, Brian.
I get too internal sometimes. I'm shy until I'm not. But
yeah.
Initially. But Chris, like, so there was this girl that in like 7th grade, this girl Angel Ip, she used to print out Drew Barrymore pictures for me off the internet. And because I didn't have the internet yet at this point.
Yeah.
And so like when Drew was doing her book signing, she randomly, and I hadn't talked to her in years, like messaged me on Facebook, and she's like, she's having a book signing in New York. And like, I live in LA. And then Chris randomly, like unsolicited, be like, hey, let me hook it up, and he set it all up. And for me, I was like, oh my God, I could only wish that would have happened, but like, and I didn't have to like do anything.
I know Chris was the best about that stuff. I wish he was still worked with Drew. He was so good to us.
Yeah.
I like this. He's a good guy.
Okay, so should we get into our oopsie daisies and deja drews and that kind of stuff, Ashley?
Yeah, this isn't either of those things, but if you guys missed it, we have a monthly newsletter now. Took me forever to get it off the ground. Finally did it. So the July issue is out. But if you want to sign up, you can still get it. And you can do that via the pop-up on our website. There's also a button right down at the bottom of howdoyoudrew.com, subscribe, and we'll send you just once a month. We won't share your info with anyone because we don't do stuff like that. And it just will keep you up to date on all things podcast related.
Yes. Thank you, Ashley. So now you have some Poison Ivy follow-ups because we had some replies to it. And what else did you find?
Okay, well, this is just so funny. So my daughter wanted to see some of my old diary entries from high school. So I let her look at some. With my discretion. But anyway, as I was going through this diary that I used to write every single day in 98, 99.
Open diary?
No, like a physical diary that I would write. This is before open diary.
That's amazing.
So I found my entry about the first time I saw Poison Ivy, which if you recall, when we did our episode, I thought that I had maybe recorded it off like HBO or something. Nope. So on December 22nd, 1998, I wrote, I rented Poison Ivy. Drew was so awesome as Ivy. Deep thoughts. And then I watched it again a couple days later, like I went a couple entries later and I'm like, watched Poison Ivy again. So I guess before I had to return it to Blockbuster, I really wanted to soak it all up.
Why would you not want to get another look at Drew as Ivy? Like,
I mean, but it's cool because it like sort of made me go, yeah, I was like really into her performance. Like I had to watch it again before I even returned it. I love knowing that.
I watched it around in that same 98 probably was.
Yeah.
I rented it, all that, yeah.
You're probably like, what?
Now the house is like right up the street from where I live.
Oh, you live right by the house? Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah. Like we during COVID, we kind of we would take a lot of walks and we would just walk up into the hills and we kind of stumbled upon it, but I was sort of looking for it. But yeah, it's right there.
Yeah, it's crazy how it's so accessible. It's just like right off the road is the balcony and the garage, like right there.
And if you know, it's like,
yeah.
And it hasn't changed a lot either, which is cool.
Yeah, thank goodness. We also got a couple comments I thought we should read. What do you think?
Okay, so Kent, our Drewbie friend, said, thanks for the shout out. Great episode. Makes me want to watch it again. Side note on DiCaprio, I do recall Kat Shea saying DiCaprio needed the film credit to help him get into the Actors Union. If I can find the interview, I'll post it. Oh.
Yeah, that felt familiar to me too. That's why I was like, I feel like he was like hanging out and they just like gave him the credit, but he never made it to the movie.
Oh, I was just like, he did Growing Pains. I would have thought that he would have already been in the union.
Yeah, I think it's like right at the same time. I feel like those are very simultaneous.
Oh, you're right. I didn't even think about that. I don't know why I'm thinking for some reason it was like a few years removed from when it happened. But yeah, Growing Pains and Poison Ivy were like the same time.
Yeah, that's why I know that extra that's misidentified as him isn't him, because he looked like a fetus in 91. Like if you look at what he looked like, that kid that people think is him is like way too old. We also got a comment from @JoeVinylAddict on Instagram. And Joe said, I really enjoyed the episode. Already loved the movie, but I think you guys made me appreciate it more. Always impressed with your knowledge of all things Drew. Hey, thanks, Joe.
As we picked it apart, we were like a little monkey trying to find all the things to talk about Poison Ivy. Sorry, sometimes I get a little weird, Brian. You're a listener, you're a listener. All right, so I see we've got some mail.
You've got mail.
We love mail.
We got a review. We got a new review on Apple Podcasts. I've been asking, and someone finally said, you know what? I'll do that. So thank you to our friend Patrick Scott.
So Patrick Scott, 2 first names person. Um, said Drewbie over 40 years, and their love of all things Drew is almost as infectious as Barrymore herself. A bright light in the podcast world and a must for anyone who's a fan of Drew on any level.
Yeah.
I like that, on any level.
Yeah. Casually or crazily, you're invited to this space.
I think we make a lot of assumptions that our fans like know Drew's history. So sometimes we talk in shorthand, but hopefully it is true this for Drew fans of every level.
Yeah, I think so.
But also, like, do we know this Patrick person? They also use Drewbie. Is that because how did that become the thing? I don't know.
Yeah, that's just how words spread. I don't know. I think it started, I really think the word Drewbie started in the fan center that Missy created. I really do. And then, you know, it just became, it's so catchy.
I believe that.
Yeah.
For sure.
She came up with all the cutie things.
Yeah, exactly.
Ashley, what did you pull for this week in Drew history?
Okay, there's not too much to say about this one, but just because of the look being so heart-stopping, I had to do it. So July 28th or 29th, 1995. For some reason, there is no consensus on which of those two dates this was. But
Okay.
Drew attended Lollapalooza at Downing Stadium in New York, obviously in support of Hole. She'd been going with them on all the Lollapalooza stops.
Mhm.
This one in particular, Drew looking so damn cool. So she's wearing this pink sort of bra top almost. It's very, very crop. And it has like a really subtle daisy print on it. And she's got these low, dark, maybe dark blue corduroys. And they showed her back and her belly tattoos. And that's like the big thing that these photos are always shown for.
Yes. This is classic. This is, oh my God, the tattoo exposure is like Drewbie to die for. The butterfly belt is like,
yes,
hell yeah. It's such a great look.
She's got a hemp bracelet to go with Brian's hemp necklaces.
That's true.
It's the worn one.
Yeah. There are a couple of pictures from this that I'm like, that was such an amazing clipping. That was such an amazing clipping. Like,
yeah, I didn't even connect that this one of her and Eric was from this for like the longest time.
Yeah,
and then one day it finally hit me, and I like went and looked up what he was wearing when they performed, and it matched. And I was like, yeah, this is totally that night.
But yeah, this clipping I remember. Like, I think it's
looks like a Star magazine or something.
Yes,
yeah,
totally.
I'm like, what's the word? Tabloid.
Tabloid. I can tell that's my scan too, and I called it Rare D. Like I was scanning rare clippings way long ago.
So cool.
I love that.
Do you want to hit the headlines?
Let's talk about what's new with Drew. There are a few things. The show's on hiatus, so we don't have a lot of our normal content to pull from, but this is really cool. Anne, you want to talk about this?
Sure. Even though it's like, I'm still unclear exactly what it is. So the Paley Center or Paley Museum in New York has a Drew's News pop-up, which they say or claim has actual pieces from the set. It also has a mailbox where you can drop like postcards that they have kind of ready for Drew in. Part of this thing, so it's an exhibit that's happening like for the month. I don't remember the timeline, but on September 9th, Drew is doing an event at the Paley Center. The reason I'm saying Paley Museum is because Paley Center is like LA, and I had more than one person say like LA, and I'm like, no, it's New York. Anyways, I bought tickets for the event on September 9th, which is being described how? Let me go to the thing. So it says, join Drew Barrymore at this exclusive Paley Live event for a spirited conversation about the show, behind the scenes secrets, and a preview of what's in store for the next season. So no idea what this is going to be, but the tickets were relatively inexpensive. As of right now, I don't know who's going along with me. Wink, wink, Ashley.
Maybe. Gonna talk about it.
Hope so. But yeah, you said that the stuff that is there in this quote unquote exhibit, like as far as we can tell, like what?
Yeah, there's a video they posted. So I'm like, okay, well, that's not the actual news desk, but they kind of like made it look ish similar. And then the background where it looks like some of the other items, it's just like a like a literal backdrop, like a cloth backdrop with printed.
Is the only video they have the video of people writing?
Yes. And I can't find any pictures of anyone going there. I've really looked around and I haven't found much. So it's if anyone listening goes, please send us pictures and a little story about what you saw.
Unless we have to wait all the way until September 9th when I go.
Right.
But
that's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah. So then there's also those weird events in Australia. I guess we have a little update about those.
Yeah. So they had said when they announced them, this is the Wanderlust festival event. I'm not sure what they're calling it, but it's in Australia, 2 different nights, August 2nd in Sydney and August 3rd in Brisbane. And they had said like special guests will be joining her. So they have announced all the guests. They're all Australian and most of them I wasn't familiar with. The ones I noticed were Terry Irwin, Steve Irwin's wife, Danny Minogue, and Tones and I. So, I mean, you can see the full list on the Wanderlust website, which we can link to, and hopefully people are excited about these guests.
Is Danny Minogue Kylie Minogue's sister?
I believe so. Yeah.
So only family of people that we know.
Yeah, right.
And then Drew Barrymore. But yeah, I'm so curious about what that's going to be, like ambiguous in a way.
I know. We have some friends going, so we're going to look forward to hearing back on that. I mean,
Totally.
Gosh, probably like 2 episodes from now, we'll be reporting on it, which is so cool.
Oh my God. I just realized that.
That's so weird.
I can't believe it's almost August. What the hell? Okay, so then there are more items from the Walmart Beautiful line, which is so fun. I think we knew that some of the things were coming and they're finally there, maybe from the last issue of Drew magazine, but there are some bath products like towels.
Drew did a video where she's talking. She's kind of doing her usual, like going on and on and on about something. She's almost like staring off into the distance, but she's kind of talking about how she's had these old towels for 10 years and it becomes just like a fixture of your life. And you're like, I guess these are just my towels. And you don't like go, hey, I could actually improve this. Like it was very relatable she was saying like when you sell a house, you start looking around and you're like, oh, these things that I just like just started getting used to and let it fade in the background and not bother me. Now I'm looking at it through a new person's eyes and like, wait, why did I live with this?
Yep.
But yeah, I also saw like really cute vanity jars and a vanity mirror. And I'm actually going to be remodeling my my primary bathroom. So I've dropped some of those in my shopping cart. I just haven't pulled the trigger yet.
There's lots of cute stuff.
And then there's a bunch of home decor stuff like lamps, vases, rugs. It is very hard to like search on the Walmart website for this stuff. Have you felt that way too, Anne?
Yeah, I think the Walmart website is
awful.
like, it's awful. Like when you click on like beautiful and then you try to go to like a section, sometimes it still doesn't show everything that's supposed to be in that category. It's
you have
bullshit.
To be sneaky to find it all.
It's bullshit. Like I'm just like, show me everything. Don't you want to sell it? Like, why do I have to like be sneaky?
Ryan, do you have any beautiful items?
I have an air fryer.
Oh, cool.
I like the air fryer. I got that. That was my most recent purchase.
No furniture, although I mean, I like the boucle chair, but I don't have any room for it. But it's very cute.
I do have that.
I'm like this close to getting the couch. It's on sale.
They're super cute.
Oh, why'd you cover it? Because of the cats?
Because of the cats. I didn't want them to like scratch it too much. They love it.
How many kitties do you have? I have 2. I have 2 kitties too.
I have 2 here.
2? Boys or girls?
And I have 3. Look at cat people.
I have 2 boys. That's Moon.
I have 2 boys too. Oh, mine looks like yours. Legs looks like Moon. His name's Clyde.
And then, you're not gonna be able to see him probably. My house is a
He's
mess.
just that black lump.
Yeah, the lump right there next to the Drew Ottoman thing is Nova.
No,
I don't think I realized that you had 2 cats, Brian. Maybe I did.
So I never knew I was a cat person until I got cats. And we went for 1, and we ended up with 2 because they were together and bonded. And like, it was actually my idea to be like, I can't separate these guys. And
Oh,
mine are bonded too.
And they're actually my first like pets, like that are mine. You know?
That's so cool.
They really like me, which I like.
Aww.
Yeah. And Drew has 4 cats. So we're all just like, again, it's another thing we all have in common.
Cat love.
She's like a cat lady.
She's like
lady.
a cat and a dog and a menagerie lady.
Yeah, and a lizard. And
Yeah, exactly.
Howdy, Drewbies.
We want to tell you about our sponsor, Positive Medium. We've actually been clients of theirs for at least 10 years, and they take care of all of our website needs for thedrewzam.com.
They offer custom web design and professional coding, search engine optimization, marketing, and hosting. So we've been hosted by them, but we've also been able to take advantage of a lot of their expertise in these other areas as well.
Absolutely. So customer service is the biggest draw for us with this company. They have saved our site literally from obliteration quite a few times. But then they also help us with minor issues in just like literally a matter of minutes. So if we have like a coding question or just like something on the back end we can't figure out, we reach out to them and we get an answer back and the issue is solved within moments.
We're so excited that Positive Medium is allowing us to offer our listeners 25% off managed WordPress hosting plans using our promo code DREW, D-R-E-W, of course. And if you want to take advantage of this, visit positivemedium.com. We really, really vouch for these people. They've been so great to us and will continue to be great to us. I can only imagine.
I mean, they're great by offering this to our listeners. So take advantage. Again, it's promo code DREW, of course.
Okay, so are we ready to dive in the weekly topic for this week?
Yeah. Should I kind of give the backstory on why we are doing this?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. So the inspiration was this awesome film website. It's called Cinema Sugar. I highly recommend. They got my attention because their graphics are so beautiful and clean. But they do really great little articles. Listicles is what they asked us to do. So they asked us to do one for Drew Barrymore's most memorable movie hairstyles. So I kind of took the reins on this. Anne was really busy.
Yep.
So I thought it'd be fun if we turn this into an episode, and I will use the pics that I used for that listicle. And then we want to hear what Anne and Brian also consider to be their favorites. So yeah, and we're talking just on screen hairstyles. So we're not talking about like, you know, what she wore in her normal life, which obviously there's overlaps all the time.
It would be too hard.
Yeah, that would be too hard.
Yeah.
But this is kind of how I approached this, was like the most iconic or the most like known, the ones you think of. So that's sort of where I came from with my choices. Well, how did you approach it, Anne?
I came from like purely what I like on her.
Yeah.
And I felt weird that I was a little bit like, I've been underwhelmed with her hair in many instances. So there are only a few for me, and it was a kind of easy to go like, oh, these are the ones. But then the like ones that are iconic / memorable is like its own category for me that I didn't even. So I think you're covering like this thing, but I'm curious to hear, you know, within yours, how many of them are crossover, both you also love them the most too.
Probably most of them.
Yeah.
How did you approach this, Brian?
Same way, more like kind of like iconic. It was like, whereas like if you could just like show, if you look at it and be like, this is from that, you know what I mean? Where you can just pinpoint.
Okay.
Like,
Yeah, I love that. That's a great way to do it. The average person could do it, not just us with our encyclopedic knowledge.
Yep. So let's hear about, you know, the most memorable and iconic, and I'll be peppering in with some of my own personal little feelings about these things as well.
Awesome. Well, I have a bunch of honorable mentions. It was very hard to get that list down to 5, but because they wanted it like brief, I was like, I got to keep it at 5. So there were some I like rotated in and out. So I'll just list them real quick. Obviously, E.T. with the pigtails is pretty iconic. The yarn, right? Like we all know that look.
Yep.
Mad Love, I was really close to keeping on the list, but in the end, I felt like it was a little too close to a different one I have on the list from the same year.
Okay.
And then Best Men, because we love her black hair.
Mm-hmm.
Home Fries, just because it's so unique.
Different than anything. Yeah.
Yeah. And then Ever After for like braids. I love braids. And then Whip It for the rainbow extensions that she wore in her hair.
Yep.
So those are the ones that I like would love to have included as well, but they didn't quite make it.
Some of them might be mentioned again, I will say. So what was on your list?
Okay. So I actually added this one last, but at the end, I was like, I don't care. It's a wig. It's the most iconic that she's ever had, probably is Scream. Everyone knows what that hair is. It's like the most copied Halloween costume now. I speak from personal experience of doing it twice. And it's just that one. I really think the word iconic is not being overused when you say that for that one.
It is iconic. The role is iconic. The film is iconic, and the hair is iconic. It's like it goes hand in hand with its influence.
Yeah. And it's so funny is that, so you asked like if they're all my favorites, the way they look. I don't necessarily like that look. In fact, I remember the first time I saw the movie, I was like, what is this wig? Like I knew it was a wig. It was so obvious. It's so funny how many people don't know it's a wig. But I remember thinking it was like kind of weird, like a weird choice, but that maybe that's part of why it has lasted in people's memories so long, because it is a little different.
That's true. Okay, what else?
I also included 50 First Dates, maybe a little bias showing there because it's very similar to my hair.
I think that's a lot of bias. I don't know. That's just, I know how much you love it.
I just remember when the first picture came out of her and Cameron Diaz, like walking down a street or something, and she had the long blonde extensions and she'd just gotten them and just being like, this changes everything. Like I went and got my hair lightened right after that. Like, I love that era.
I remember those photos. She had the scarf on, right? And like, she's flipping off somebody in the car.
Yeah. You know your stuff.
Wait, now hold on. Can I try to pull up a picture? Because now I feel like I want to see. Hold on.
I think it's like April 2003.
Okay, I'm looking for it.
I don't know why I'm saying April. That's just where my instinct goes.
If it's right there, I'm going to laugh so hard.
I don't know what the folder would be called. They're at somewhere, so it's not going to be sushi. Maybe sushi. While you're looking, I'll just say
it's March.
Oh, okay, I was close. Is it sushi?
Yeah.
I'm such a loser.
Oh my god.
But I also like that it like really fits with the like beach wave vibes of filming in Hawaii. Like it just makes sense to me. I just think it was a fun choice.
True.
And she hadn't like, I don't know. I just missed Blonde Drew, obviously. Oh, did you pull up? Yeah, there it is. Great memory, Brian.
And there's only like a couple pictures. That's so perfect. Oh my gosh. Anyway.
I also chose Charlie's Angels because the red, I just feel like you just have to. You have to have the red on this list. Even though all my other ones are blonde. Again, bias showing. But I feel like Charlie's Angels is just like, she just so specifically dyed her hair for that movie. And, it's just, I love like the 3 different hair colors of the angels.
Yeah. And it stayed red for a while. Like, even though she had it red for Home Fries, it was like a blip. Like, I don't even think there was like so little that she did.
So short.
There are very few pictures. And then suddenly her hair is different again.
Yeah.
But yes, Charlie's Angels is iconic.
Then I have Poison Ivy, and it's not because we just covered that in our last episode, but honestly, I feel like people really love that hair. The perm, the blowout, any version of it, the side flip, the perfect side flip. So gotta have that one.
It's like a trailer park version of the 51st Dates hair.
It kind of is. There's not that much of a difference between them. Yeah. And now that you say that, I probably should have varied it a little bit.
Thank you.
Feels different enough.
The style. Yeah. And plus it has all those sophisticated French twists and French braids.
No, but it is very similar. And actually we'll get into like one on my list that felt so similar that I almost didn't put it into.
Okay.
But I did ultimately.
Cool.
Okay. And then what's the last on your list?
Okay. My final choice is Boys on the Side. And I had to include this for the woo-woo bouncy curls. And I feel like so many girls tried to copy this. I remember on like very old fan sites, like a lot of people sending in their pictures like as fans. I don't know if they were supposed to be lookalikes or just fans, but a lot of people trying to copy this hair.
Yep.
Plus we get the intro of her wearing daisies in her hair, which I think this is kind of like where it started, like where we really first started seeing her do it. So that just feels so perfectly 90s Drew. And that's why I couldn't include Mad Love, because it's like just a couple months apart. And even though her hair is a little bit different, it wasn't quite different enough. But I love Mad Love.
Okay, I feel like I want to put Brian between us.
Okay.
So, Brian,
No pressure.
if you're ready, let's hear.
Do I start from the bottom or the top?
That's up to you.
However you want. Mine weren't even in an order, to be honest with you.
And mine are not any kind of ranking. I think that's too hard.
Yeah.
Tried kind of ranking it. My number one was Scream as well,
Yay!
because like that's something I think anybody could look at and kind of be like that's from that movie. You know what I mean? It's iconic. And again, like you said, it's not overusing the word. It's just true.
It seems appropriate. Yeah.
And not even you don't even have to be a fan to like recognize that.
Totally.
Yeah.
And then for me, second, I went Boys on the Side because I think that personally was my favorite Drew era, and that's kind of where I sort of discovered her. Like that, the YM magazine was that hairstyle.
I was just gonna say that.
Curly, blonde, ringlets. Well, I will say, like, I feel like I remember seeing a lot of girls trying to replicate that, but I feel like it's a hard look to pull off. I'm not a girl, but like,
I totally agree. It actually, on paper, it doesn't really even make sense why it looks as good as it does.
but I feel like that, is I don't know. It's probably more iconic for me than anybody else. But that was my second.
That kind of goes on more on the personal side. Like you wouldn't dare leave that off.
Yeah, I get that.
I did Mad Love was 3, and I, like Ashley said, it's kind of similar. But again, this is kind of more like this is where I started becoming a fan. So I think this is a little personal / like iconic. It's a mixture of the two. But Mad Love, yeah, that's more of a personal thing. And then I did 50 First Dates and then Charlie's Angels.
Oh, wow. So we have really similar lists.
It's literally almost the same.
I had 10, and then I narrowed it down a little bit.
Let's hear everything that was on there.
Ever After, Home Fries, Wedding Singer, Poison Ivy, Batman Forever. But Batman Forever and Boys on the Side was like too similar.
Yeah.
And I know one was a wig. Around the same time, I was like, it was more just for me than rather like iconic as a whole for audiences.
Honestly, I really like that one a lot too, but you're right. Like it's a little too similar. We will talk about this in a second, but we did like a poll on our Jerseyam Instagram and had people write in what they would have chosen. And I was like stoked when somebody did pick Batman Forever. I was like, yeah, that's a good one.
I do wonder like newer fans, if they have dived as deep as we have as fans, you know what I mean? Are they like, do they know about the many eras of Drew, or they just only kind of know about what?
Yeah, there's this really sweet girl I've been talking to who runs a fan account. She's only 16, and she posted a picture from Everyone Says I Love You. And she's just like, I just found this picture. It's so beautiful. And I had to like tell her what it was, So, maybe they're not deep diving in the same way. They have too many distractions. Like I was like, I had so much time on my hands when I became a fan that I was like, I'll just go rent all her movies. I'll go through all these magazines. Like I had nothing else to do. I didn't have a phone to distract me.
You know what? And honestly, I feel like in some ways, the way that at the time that we were coming up in the fandom world, you could pretty much get all of her movies from video stores, like almost all of them. And the fact that they still existed. Like, I think it might be harder now to get certain movies that we could get then. Like, you can't get Poison Ivy online.
That's true.
Like, it's weird for some reason.
That's why we love physical media.
Yeah. And then just like magazines too. Like, we had like it was very like all encompassing. And I feel like fandoms, not that there aren't people that get really into stuff, but fandoms maybe come and go like the way that our attention spans have all gotten worse. Like,
yeah,
I don't know.
People aren't making scrapbooks. I don't think they're making scrapbooks, ripping pages out of magazines the way that we did.
No,
it's different.
Dude, you guys, my daughter likes Billie Eilish, and my husband has a subscription to Interview magazine, which is so cute and cool. I love that about him. But anyway,
that's cool.
So the new one came and Billie was on the cover, and I was like, oh, look, Mila. And I was like, do you want any of these pictures? Like, these are so cool. Like, can I help you take one and maybe put a couple on your wall? She's like, okay, I like this one, I guess. And so like, I perfectly removed it. She's like, how did you do that? I was like, years of experience. And I put it up on her wall for her. And I think I was way more excited than she was because I was just like, this is so important. As a teenager, I want you to experience this.
It's just like, what are you talking about, Mom?
Yeah, she's like, I guess that looks fine.
I guess that looks fine. I guess I'll keep that up until next week.
I love hearing Mila come on and like kind of just like, it's just funny to, because, it's like, Mom.
Yeah.
Oh, Mom.
All the time.
And Ashley's just cracking up at Mila and all the time. It's just like everything she does, all of her like, ugh, and what, Mom?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
I take it all in stride.
Yeah. It's so
How
good.
old is she? 14?
She's 14. Yep.
Can you believe
So
that?
that's like
I know. Almost the age you were when we met, which is just too creepy to think about. That's freaky.
That's too much. That is too much. Okay, so should I jump into my list a little bit, even though we'll have some things come back up?
Of course. Let's hear. I'm so curious what you picked.
There's at least one thing that hasn't been brought up yet, which I thought was a little interesting, but not really. So honorable mentions for me were Charlie's Angels. It didn't, yes, I agree it's iconic, but it's just like, for me, I'm going more like what I feel like. I love. Yeah, I love the way she looks in. And a lot of times I realize it also is like the character I love a lot. And I'm like, that's not how it's supposed to go, Anne. You just cannot separate it. So anyway, Charlie's Angels, it had to be mentioned. Charlie's Angels Full Throttle. There are a lot of scenes in that where I like really love her hair, but it's not because it's anything like super unique.
That's actually probably if I was like picking some of my least favorite.
I don't like her hair.
I'm still mad it's not red. Like, I don't understand what that decision was. And 2002 is just not a time I'm like very into her hairstyle. So like that. Those like kind of like side swoopy bangs.
Kind of
so when I went through it, I was like, okay, a lot of times I don't like it. And then sometimes I do. But I when I thought of it, I was like, it's at least different than the other. So the reason I put it on honorable mentions is because it like kept coming to mind as like, well, that's standing out. Home Fries came up for me for kind of the same reasons it did for you. Also, it was like, it came out when I was pretty newly a fan. It was fun to like have Drew have like multiple types and colors of hair within like the first year of us like being, really, really collecting. So
the good old days.
Yep. And Ever After is also in my honorable mention. So a bunch of those has come up before, but the same kind of reasons as like my sentimentality for them runs real deep.
Yeah.
And then Mad Love is on my list, very high on my list. I think as a blonde, I love Drew's hair at that length at that time in her life. I think it's just like perfect.
It's so good.
Yeah, it's so, so good. I had put Wishful Thinking on my list as well, except the hair is very, very similar.
Yeah.
But that has an iconic thing about it.
Yeah.
The outfits were
yes, exactly.
as awful as the movie was. I think that
her looks. I love every single one of them. In fact, that'll be a great episode to get into because we'll probably just talk about the way she looks the whole time.
Exactly.
Yeah, the movie was fucking terrible.
And I wonder how many of the clothes are just her clothes.
Yeah.
I like unironically love Wishful Thinking. It's such a strange, weird movie. Anyway, so I have Wishful Thinking on there. I couldn't skip Best Men.
Yeah.
Again, not a great movie, but Drew with the black locks is just too much for me to not include.
So stunning.
And I think it's also like her as a bride wearing rainbow socks.
Yes, I know.
That probably has to color my love of her black hair. Why? I don't know.
No pun intended.
Is that the only time she ever had that hair color?
In a movie or a time. Yeah, even that time is just like part of 1996 and that's it. Bye.
And that's it. I looked at other dark haired stuff. Like I looked at Donnie Darko and I was like, boring for hair.
Yeah.
You know, I looked at Riding in Cars with Boys and I was like, again, just kind of boring hair, like nothing. But Best Men, it's adorable.
Yeah, I agree. It's Best men is the best dark hair.
Yes. And lastly, Poison Ivy.
Okay.
Because and I think it's pretty different than 50 First Dates because it's not just like the color and the curls, but I particularly like the natural curl with the big swooping.
It's bouncier. It's like more voluminous and like, yeah.
It's more part of her scangy scanginess. But it was like, I'm not, in my mind, I'm like, a French twist, I could take it or leave it. But the like big perm is iconic for the time, iconic for a Poison Ivy. Like it's so much, but I also love it.
Totally get it. I think we're all on the same page with that.
Totally. All right. So let's talk a little bit about like popular picks from when people were responding on the Drewseum.
Yeah, boy. Sometimes we put out these little like polls and we get a lot of replies about them. So this was one of those times.
Mm-hmm.
Mad Love and Poison Ivy were, I think, the ones that came up the most. I'll kind of go through some of them real quick. So we have a highlight on our Instagram at Drewseum that's just for people's responses to this, if you guys want to check it out. Charlie's Angels came up. Home Fries came up. Fever Pitch, which I thought was a really unique choice. Not one I would ever put on a list, but it's cool that there's like people that like different things, right?
Yeah.
Of course, Batman Forever, like I'd mentioned earlier. Someone did pick specifically Riding in Cars with Boys at the end when she has the short hair. So I thought that was kind of an interesting choice.
Kind of like a scream bob, but
like, almost. But streak of gray, so you know she's a little bit older.
36 also, like not
36. Ooh, ancient hag. Jolena, of course, is the one that had the brains to say Bad Girls. I was like, yes, that's absolutely one of my favorite. Again, and I forgot it again. It should have been on my honorable mentions. Somehow I just always forget it. But like, that's my favorite that she's ever looked in any movie ever. So it's so funny that I never think about it.
Ashley,
I know.
This is a wig, but also so Scream. So never mind. That's a moot point.
Yeah, I know. That's exactly how my brain went too. Someone said Confessions of a Dangerous Mind, which I thought was fun. And then someone was like, how could no one have mentioned Santa Clarita Diet, which I thought was a really cool choice because I do love, when her character sort of evolves and starts getting a little sexy.
That was an honorable mention. I had Santa Clarita Diet.
It's a good one.
And Going the Distance.
Yeah, I actually love Going the Distance. I really like her hair in that one. I thought it was fascinating that no one said The Wedding Singer. Like it's just no one's choice. I thought that was interesting. It is kind of like, again, that was a very short-lived hairstyle.
It's a weird hairstyle. I think I just read recently that they dyed it and it was like so damaged that they had to like chop it off or something. So that's why.
Yeah, we talked about that, I think, in that episode. Maybe that's where you heard it.
I mean, it very well could be.
But I do think that's iconic, but maybe it's a little like ho-hum somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know.
There's just something that doesn't quite like push it to like the best of the best.
Yeah, we love that movie. That's definitely like up there for Drewbie love for movies. But yeah, I don't think of it for the look as much.
It is fun to make these lists and sort of have to do that. Like, oh, why am I choosing this? Is it because of like these other things? Is it because I like the character? Is it because I like the movie? Or is it solely for like what we're trying to pick? It's hard.
I always have to acknowledge my potential biases, it's like, yeah, for sure. I am picking Best Men because I like Drew with dark hair when I rarely see her with dark hair, for example.
You had to. I would have been very upset with you if it wasn't on your list.
You need me to be reliable and expected. Yeah.
So that's it. If you guys out there listening have any that like you can't believe we forgot, we would love to hear from you. Again, like I still can't believe I keep forgetting Bad Girls when it's one of my favorites. So maybe there's something else obvious that we're totally skipping.
Yeah, maybe so.
I went through our IMDb last night. Like I had to like make sure I was like seeing all.
That's the best way to do it. Yeah, be thorough.
Yeah, Ashley has it like in her brain
most of the time,
but then she like skips over Bad Girls every time somehow in her brain. Your brain file is missing BT.
I love when I listen to you guys on your podcast because like I feel like we all have this similar brain and it's
Yes.
like I have all this weird knowledge. Like I wish it would be useful for something. You know what I mean? And so
This
like
is what we use it for. This is why you're here.
if I ever hear something for
Can I pop in the boyfriend?
Yes.
Like he's got this
Hi.
Drew like knowledge. It's so crazy, and you all have the same thing. I live with this. He's like you all have this like insane. 1993 was a big year for Drew. She modeled for Guess that year. I'm like, that's how I know. She modeled for Guess that year. It was a big year. I'm glad you guys have each other.
I mean, I'm so glad I have them also. Like,
Yeah, right.
it goes
We got to
both
have
ways.
somebody who
No.
understands and appreciates it.
No, I love you all. I love him too.
Aw. But that's why we have the podcast, right? Because there are others of us out there.
I think you're finding your niche and now I think eventually they are going to consult you guys for things. You're going to get there. I really do. I do believe that,
We keep being told that.
especially because you guys have a rapport with her for fucking so long now. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
20 plus years, you guys have kind of like been
Yep.
in her orbit. And so like, you're safe and, you're knowledgeable and you're not kiss asses either, which is nice, because like there's something to be said about like to be a fan, but also to like kind of not be like a sycophant, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's nice. We can love somebody, but also be like, I don't like that,
Totally.
You are very special. And yeah, and I think you guys are great. I love you guys. Sorry.
Thank you, Brian.
Oh, thanks for joining us. It's so cool. Like we've been wanting you on for so long, and I'm glad we finally made it happen. And if you think of another episode, we should have had you on for the guest one because I always think of you. You were like the resident guest expert. So funny that your boyfriend brought that up.
That is my favorite era of Drew for sure, and that's why literally he knows. It's
Yeah.
like 1993 was like Drew Barrymore because she was, I guess,
So many times. She modeled for Guess.
I still remember when you got the big Salton Sea book that you were the one that scanned the pictures. I bet you I still even have those specific scans.
I think I paid like I don't know. I think I was like 16 when I got that, and I think I paid like $300 for like it was. But I was like, I need this thing. You know what I mean? And like,
Yeah.
Like, it's the only thing I want.
it was on eBay, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, the way that was sorry.
I was very jealous.
That was a time. It was like, you got it. Rob Brink got it. Venus got it. Like
Yeah.
a few people like got it. I feel like Missy probably had it way before a lot
I'm
of us.
sure. I got mine from Anita when she sold a bunch of her stuff. So that's how I
Yeah.
got mine. But even then I paid $300, I think.
I got mine way later, and I think I paid $75.
Oh,
That's the way to do
I
it.
waited a
Deal.
long time. I know.
that's when waiting pays off.
Yeah.
What I loved when I got it is because I don't think we had all seen all of
No.
Probably not.
catalog at that point.
That's why it was such a big deal when you posted scans.
But yeah, I remember. Yeah, God, I remember that scanner. Yeah, it's just so funny to think like how long we've been like in contact and kind of like doing this stuff and
Amazing. We'll definitely share pictures on the episode page, not just of Drew's hair, but of the three
Us
of us hanging
together.
out. Yeah. I guess let's wrap it up there though. So thank you everybody for listening. This was a fun, like easy topic. And mostly we just wanted to talk to Brian. If you want to be like Patrick Scott, go leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and we'll read it on the next episode. You follow us on Instagram at How Do You Drew Pod and then at Drewseum. Drewseum's where you're going to find that highlight with all the hairstyle choices people made.
Mhm. And please visit our website at howdoyoudrew.com. When you're there, sign up for the newsletter that we mentioned earlier that Ashley got up and running. Sign up for our Patreon.
Patreon.com/howdoyoudrew.
Chapter 6 we just recorded yesterday. Chapter 6 of Little Girl Lost is going to be out very soon.
Yes.
You got to get over on that. Brian joined us. Thank
yeah,
you, Brian.
Brian joined us, and that's why we had let him on finally. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Like, we're not gonna let this asshole on his cousin Patreon.
Yeah, you can be on as well, but you have to like know us for 20 years and then become a Patreon member, and then you can come on our podcast.
Cool enough.
Yes. And if you want to send us listener mail, you can send it to us on any of those platforms that we've previously mentioned, or to howdoyoudrewpod@gmail.com. I'm going to do a question to take us out, because why not?
Okay.
What's everyone's favorite thing to drink first thing in the morning? But doesn't have to be like water. Like if there's like, what's your like drink that you like to drink?
Okay. Brian, you go first since you're our guest.
Probably like either coffee and is it weird now that I drink milk? But yeah, like coffee or milk.
I love milk. How do you take your coffee, Brian?
I usually I could do black or just black with a little bit of milk. I don't add any
Nothing
sugar.
Fancy. Okay.
Yeah.
Ashley, what about you?
So it always was Diet Coke forever. I think everybody knows.
I know that. I remember that.
Oh, that's like part of my personality. But I gave it up when I was pregnant with my last baby, and I've just tinily sprinkled it into my life since then, but not much. So I'm not like drinking it on the way to work like I used to. But instead, I've swapped it out for Starbucks iced matcha latte, and that's way more expensive. So I don't know that it's been a good thing.
You tried the lavender matcha latte? They're really good.
I have not, because I'm kind of the person that like if I veer from my normal to like a variation, I'll just be like, I should have gotten my normal one. In fact, the girl there the other day, she's like, have you ever tried it with our brown sugar sweetener? And I was like, no, I haven't. And she was like, I'm going to make you a little one just so that you don't have to order one and not like it. And I was like, thanks. That's so
nice.
Cool. She got a tip after that. But I tried it and I was like, this was good, but I would have been bummed if this is what I had instead of my normal one. So I'm just boring like that.
Yeah, Ashley, you are very, very consistent.
Yes.
You like what we like.
Yeah, exactly. Ashley's like almost like a cartoon character a little bit. It's like you have like your little accoutrement like for a long time for you. I feel like I'm like roasting you on air, but that's okay.
That's okay. I can take it.
You had like your the same type of gum. It was like the blue, you tell me.
Extra. Yeah, but I have switched from peppermint to polar ice. So big changes in my life.
But you were on peppermint for like 20 years or something. Like I could always expect that every time. I knew you would have that gum. And anytime I like see it or buy it, I'm like, that's Ashley's gum.
Oh.
Anyway, so my morning drink before we get out of here is it's coffee, no sweetener, half and half.
Wow, you guys are pretty similar.
Yeah, but I'm like, I make like lattes and I drink a lot of half and half and milk.
A lot of latte.
A lot of latte. All right, Brian, thank you so much for joining us. This was so fun.
Thank you, Brian. You're welcome back anytime.
Yes, anytime.
Please, I've had a lot of fun, and I listen to your podcast every week, and I'm happy to be a part of it. So thank you very much.
That's so meaningful.
Yeah,
thank you.
We are so thrilled. And okay, everybody, we'll see you next Tuesday.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. This episode of the How Do You Drew podcast was researched and produced by Ashley and Ann from thedreseum.com with help from our sponsor, Positive Medium.
Special thanks to Matt Costa for our lovely theme song, Roxy Prima for our adorable logo, and last but not least, Drew Barrymore and all the Drewbies who love her. We do this for you. Thank you.